Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Strategic L&D in the Ages of AI ML, where we're going to guide you through the essentials of AI ML within the L&D framework. My name's Alex. I'm going to be the MC during this session. So just before we begin, very briefly, I want to go over some housekeeping first. During the webinar, everyone's microphones, they're going to be muted. However, it's open discussion. So if you have any questions, please feel free to just drop them in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. We will take breaks as well. And at the end of this session, there's just going to be a couple of questions that are going to pop up. We'd appreciate it if you would just take a moment of your time to answer them. And then lastly, this webinar is currently being recorded and it's going to be sent to everyone via email. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. But with that said, I'd like to introduce and give some background on our speaker for today's webinar. So we have Chris Minnick here with us today. He is a renowned author, educator, and entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in software development and education. Chris is the CEO and co-founder of What's This and focuses on developing innovative teaching methods and courses for computer and programming skills. And his extensive writing portfolio includes over 20 books with notable titles like Coding with AI for Dummies. So before What's This, Chris was the CEO of Minnick Web Services for 18 years, where he led the development and management of numerous web and mobile projects. His clientele ranged from small businesses to prestigious institutions and major companies, including Stanford University and Microsoft. So with Chris's unique approach, he blends deep technical knowledge with passion for teaching, making him a valuable resource for both aspiring developers and seasoned professionals. So we're quite excited to have him today, and I'm excited to introduce him. Take it away, Chris.
Wow, thank you so much. That was a really nice introduction. Hello, everyone. Let's see here. So, as Alexandra mentioned, I am Chris Minnick, and the name of this session is Strategic L&D in the Age of AI and Machine Learning. 1 second here. All right. So, for about the next 2 to 3 hours, we'll be talking about AI and machine learning, and specifically generative AI in the context of learning and development. And you already know this, but what you don't know is that it is not a picture of me. This is actually a image that I generated using GPT-4 after uploading about 10 pictures of myself and my dog. My partner, Jill, was upset that this doesn't look anything like me. And she worked with several different platforms to try to make something that looked like me and something that looked like our dog. And but you can't. Generative AI is designed to be able to create original works that are similar to other works. And so if you were able to just say, repeat this back to me, you would get an unpredictable response because of the nature of the thing. And we'll talk more about this shortly. But Alexandra mentioned all of this. I do a lot of things that have to do with content creation. I'm also a musician and a novelist. And so these new systems that we have today make me a little bit nervous, honestly. I'm a little bit scared, but I've been writing this book, Coding with AI for Dummies. And I've gotten some new perspectives about these generative AI systems, and I hope to be able to hear your perspectives as well and share some of my ideas and thoughts. Let's see. This webinar is a production of Excel. Excel does instructor-led training, servicing the entire life cycle of employee technical training. And if you would like to learn more about how we can help you, please contact me or Alexandra or Matthew George, who's also here today. And this is our agenda. We're going to talk about the trends reshaping learning and development. Then I'll do a brief demo showing how to use generative AI to generate personalized learning paths. And then I'll provide a brief overview of the technologies behind what's going on today, followed by a demo of some of the latest and greatest stuff that's out there. After that, I'm going to talk about the October 30th executive order on AI and how that impacts learning and development, as well as other regulatory things that are on the horizon and what it means for us. And for the last hour or so, we'll be working in groups on a fun project that's similar to one that I've been leading for companies that need to train their employees on how to use generative AI, which is everyone. And I plan to take a break after about the first hour. And then for the workshop, we'll be going into breakout rooms. Cool. Just looking at the chat here. Okay. Super. To start, I'll cover some of the trends that are reshaping organizational learning and the roles of AI in learning and development. So organizational data can be analyzed using AI tools to uncover trends and insights. This can be used to predict employee performance, identify skill gaps, or analyze the effectiveness of training programs. Chatbots and other tools can be used to automate many of the administrative tasks, such as scheduling, feedback collection, progress tracking, answering routine questions, and this can free up L&D professionals to spend more time on strategic activities. AI facilitates the scalability of learning programs, allowing organizations to effectively deliver training to a larger number of employees across various locations. And you can enable this by using strategies such as localization, where AI can ensure that core training elements remain consistent across all locations while allowing for localization of content to address regional or cultural differences. Or language translation services can offer automatic translation and language support, making the same course accessible to employees in different regions in their native language, as well as support for classrooms and in learning being available in the person's native language. Right here, I'm using AI to transcribe what I'm saying right now. And I believe you are able to switch this to translate to different languages as I'm speaking. I haven't actually been on the receiving side of this. This is brand new on PowerPoint, but it's pretty cool. Incorporating AI and gamification strategies leads to more engaging and interactive learning experiences. And AI systems can provide immediate feedback, acting as a virtual tutor to enable real-time adjustments to learning strategies and content. And AI can be used to predict future learning requirements and skill gaps, helping organizations proactively plan their L&D initiatives. More and more of these tools are being integrated into daily workflows, and learning is, as a result, is making it easier for learning to be a continuous and seamless part of the work process. And AI enables the creation of customized learning experiences tailored to individual skills, learning styles, how much time the learner has available. And this can enhance engagement and effectiveness in learning. And I've actually created a demo of a personalized learning path generating system that I want to walk you through and show you here. So I call this Pathfinder. And I created this using GPT-4, the new feature in there where you can create custom GPTs. And let's take a look at it. So this is the configuration for Pathfinder. It has a name, Pathfinder, and then this image was generated by GPT-4. A little description. I'm a friendly guide to your personalized learning journey. Tell me what you're interested in learning. And I gave it some instructions. So the instructions are Pathfinder is a conversational GPT focused on crafting personalized learning paths for learners. It starts conversations by asking users about a topic they wish to learn. Following this, Pathfinder systematically asks 4 additional questions to gather comprehensive information. And then these questions specify what the questions should be about, and then say Pathfinder then creates a customized learning journey for that individual. And so to use this, we can just go into this URL here, and this is actually a public URL. So anyone who has GPT-4 right now, if you want to, you can go to this URL. I don't know if I have the ability to broadcast something out to everyone here. I can just send it out to hosts and panelists. But this is the URL. I can get this to you if you're interested later. And you can say, for example, I want to learn about Kubernetes. And then it's going to come back with great choice. Kubernetes is a powerful tool, container orchestration to help you craft your personalized learning path. Start with a few questions. And so it asks, what is your current level of understanding or experience with Kubernetes or related technologies? What is your preferred learning style? How much time can you dedicate each week? What's your primary motivation? And do you have any prior experience with cloud platforms like AWS, Google Cloud, or Azure? All really fantastic questions. These are the questions that I would ask someone who came to me and said, how do I learn Kubernetes? So I can answer these just like this and say, I have no prior experience. I have used Docker. And then 2, okay. So I could have answered them all together, but now it's asking me the questions again. So I'll say, 1, I prefer to learn through instructor-led training and hands-on practice. 2, I have 1 day per week. 3, I want to get a better job. 4, I have used AWS. And so just like that, it's come back with a plan for me. And let's see, Kubernetes fundamentals, enroll in a class, understand the concepts, practice, intermediate concepts, advanced Kubernetes features, real world projects and scenarios. So it goes through a pretty logical thing here and then ends here with, if you're interested in certification, consider the Kubernetes administrator or AWS certified solutions architect. And at first glance here, this is really good advice, and it looks like a pretty good path for getting a solid understanding of Kubernetes. And so this also works with anything else. We could use this for, I want to learn to speak Spanish or, whatever. And yeah, if you're interested in playing with it, I will get this URL to actually, let's see, do we have just a way to broadcast out a link?
If you drop it in the chat, if you select everyone, we should be able to just share that with the group.
I don't have everyone as an option.
Okay, if you want to share it to the host, I can share it with the group.
Okay, cool. So there's Pathfinder. Any questions about this, or does anyone want me to try out anything in particular here? Asking a follow-up question, saying, no, I don't like this. Path. Okay, cool. Hmm. So I'm going to talk a little bit here about an overview of AI and machine learning, importance of aligning artificial intelligence and machine learning with organizational goals, and steps for effective integration. So let's start out by just saying that integrating AI and ML into learning and development strategies isn't just an option today, it's a necessity. AI and machine learning can transform how we approach learning by personalizing content, as you saw, predicting learning needs, and enhancing data analytics. Aligning AI and ML with organizational goals ensures that these technologies are not just innovative, but also effective and relevant to your business objectives. To effectively integrate AI, it's crucial to understand the technology, align it with your strategic goals, and take systematic steps towards implementation. And I'm going to talk more about this. This process involves not only technology adoption, but also a cultural shift within the organization where learning is seen as an ongoing and dynamic process. And so as AI and machine learning become more integrated with our everyday lives and work, every person in a company will need some level of training on using these systems effectively and safely. Here's some examples of learning paths for all roles, showing training that should be part of each upskilling journey. So you'll see here we have a data scientist upskilling journey, ML engineer, which emphasizes neural networks instead of applied data sciences, software engineer, and what's needed here with working with tools for monitoring and API management. And then his data engineer upskilling journey, DevOps analyst, and manager as well. And so for an example of a typical boot camp for upskilling a data scientist, this is what it might look like. Uh, Typically, when we're doing these, we do them very customized to the needs of the client, but this is sort of a sample right here, showing it starts out with the knowledge assessment on day one, and then goes through a series of classes of increasing complexity and depth. And then projects also advance from introductory through to the final project and then the post-test. This particular one is 5 weeks, but different needs may vary, of course. And so let's talk about a little bit about AI and ML. Artificial intelligence is a really broad field in computer science that aims to create systems capable of performing tasks that typically require human intelligence. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence, and it involves algorithms learning from data to make decisions or predictions. In the context of learning and development, these technologies can be game-changing. For example, AI can be used, like we saw, for designing custom paths, for many more things, which we talked about at the beginning of this 10 minutes ago or so. So understanding these concepts is essential, not just for specialists in the technologies, but for all learning and development professionals as these tools increasingly become integral to how we design, develop, deliver, and evaluate learning. So this is the big picture. Artificial intelligence is the very broad field containing things like old-fashioned chatbots that were programmed algorithmically, as well as natural language processing, which can interpret and understand and create natural language, and machine learning. And then a subset of machine learning is deep learning. And then inside of deep learning, that's where generative AI systems sit, generative AI models. Generative AI overlaps with natural language processing, and you can create voice and text with generative AI, as well as images, music, video, and much more. And this is part of machine learning. So machine learning enables computers to learn from and make decisions based on data. It works by finding patterns in data that it's trained on. And by being trained on large amounts of data, it can improve its performance over time without being explicitly programmed, and this makes it ideal for solving problems that would otherwise be very much too expensive to handle in the old-fashioned way of programming, where you're doing step by step or programming in a series of conditional statements. An AI model can be thought of as like a model car or a model plane, in terms of it's something that simulates some real thing. And so an AI model, we have AI models for predicting weather, for predicting language, for predicting economic conditions. We have healthcare models, traffic and transportation models, education models, and many more. What these all have in common is they have a lot of these have, well, traditionally AI models have specific tasks that are focused on. It can predict weather patterns. It can predict how this car will behave on the road at certain speed. It can predict all of these things. But more recently, we've gotten these generative models, which can actually create new content and are very multi-purpose. And so this is really exciting. Generative models learn the patterns and structures and features from very large data sets, and then as a result are able to generate similar but very original outputs. And this is made possible by deep learning. In deep learning, it's a type of machine learning where artificial neural networks are used to simulate the way that people learn. So it starts with very basic concepts and then goes through layers of these artificial neural networks to learn increasingly complex things and patterns about the data that they're fed. And so in deep learning, you can have these relationships, and you can start to have artificial intelligence models that can see relationships between words, between concepts, and be able to use its knowledge of these relationships to generate new stuff. Neural networks typically can use both labeled and unlabeled data. So labeled data is where you might want to train a model to be able to identify something like, let's say, like, is that a hot dog? And some of you might get that reference. Is hot, not hot dog. But to do that, you would use labeled data, and you feed in a whole bunch of pictures of things that are hot dogs, and they all have a little word on them that say this is a hot dog or just hot dog. And then a whole bunch of words or pictures of things that are not hot dogs, and you label those not hot dog. And then by training the system on all of these pictures, both of hot dogs and things that are not hot dogs, it can be able to make predictions about new data. So it can generalize to new things. And so that's how you use labeled data. And this is used for like image categorization or identification. Spam detection uses labeled data, models that are trained on labeled data. Unlabeled data is data that's just fed in. So here's the contents of Wikipedia. What kinds of patterns can you detect in here? And this is used for categorization. It's used for being able to find sort of hidden patterns inside of data. And this is mostly what these new generative models are trained on, is unlabeled data. Using labeled data traditionally is very expensive because someone has to label the data. You have to create a bunch of images or text pieces that are all consistent and that have something in common and labels. Unlabeled data, you can just feed it in with a fire hose and then say, what do you notice about this? Labeled data, yeah, labeled data does use tagging. So tagging is the technique used for labeling data. Great question. The semi-supervised learning is what models like GPT use. So in semi-supervised learning, a neural network is trained on a small amount of labeled data, and this is what gives it the ability to identify like parts of speech and things, and a large amount of unlabeled data. And then the labeled data just helps it to learn basic concepts of a task, and the unlabeled data helps the neural network to generalize to new examples. Let's see here if there are any other questions. Nope. Cool. So,
One moment, Chris. I think we have our hand raised. Kavita, if there is a question that you might have, if you could drop it in the chat, that would
yes,
be.
please. All right. And so, okay, no problem. If anyone does have any questions, please let me know at any time, and I can talk about anything that I have knowledge on. Yes, fantastic question, Mark. I am going to get into that. I'm actually going to get into that next. So, great timing. So a foundation model is one of these models, machine learning models, that are trained on a vast amount of data, and we call that pre-training. So GPT, the PT stands for pre-trained. So it's a generative pre-trained model. Foundation models can also be post-trained, and we call this is also known as fine-tuning. So in the example of Pathfinder, over here, the model is pre-trained on terabytes of data. And then I post-trained it to fine-tune it for a specific topic. So this is similar to how all dogs are trained on basic commands and obedience, and then they can be trained to be seeing eye dogs or police dogs or drug sniffing dogs and so forth, using sort of additional training. So with foundation models, we can do that. And you have this base level, and then you have specialized things on top of that. And so, yeah, let's talk a little bit here about ethical concerns, safety concerns, and the answer to Mark's question. In this section, I used AI to generate all these images. Some of them are kind of interesting and pretty cool, actually. You'll see often here this standard kind of failing of these image generation models that they can't really get spelling and words correctly very often. And so this is the ethical guided lines. That one's not bad either, but you'll see worse examples here. So first one is bias and fairness. So this is all about ensuring generative AI systems don't perpetuate or amplify biases that are present in their training data. And these models were trained on human created content. And so biases that are present in that training data have the potential to show up in responses from the model. People developing AI models are working very hard to minimize bias and make these models fair, but it's a very complex task because you have to consider what is fairness, and what's fair to me might be very different from what's fair to my neighbor there, and it's probably very different from what's fair to someone living in India. And all over the world, fairness has different definitions, bias has different definitions. It's a very complex problem when you're trying to create something that is universally fair and unbiased. But this is one of the fundamental goals of AI development right now. Intellectual property is another huge issue. So this deals with concerns related to the ownership and copyright of AI generated content. A lot of the data in these models, we really don't know for sure, but it can be assumed that if it was trained on content from the internet, a lot of this data is copywritten. It's protected, maybe protected by intellectual property laws. It may be trademarked. And AI always generates original content, but pieces of the training data may show up in its outputs. And there's a really good example of this that happened a couple of weeks ago, where some researchers figured out that if they told ChatGPT to just repeat a certain word, I think the word was poem, repeat poem forever, infinitely. And it would start doing that and go, go, go. But there's a certain amount of randomness that's built into every response from a generative AI system. And so eventually, after it was repeating poem forever, it started spitting out other random things. And this included like someone's contact information, some data from bits of data from here and there. And so it's an exploit that could theoretically be used to get data out of the system that wasn't intended to be used for straight ahead responses. Training doesn't take entire documents, so you'll never see you'll never be able to say print out the entirety of Moby Dick. That's not what an AI model is for. What the model does when it's being trained is it looks and finds the meaning and extracts, kind of some words here to find meaning. Rather, it's not a giant database of documents like the internet. It is rather a meaning extracting machine. But there still are very important issues around copyright. There's also huge issues around style. Do you own your style? If you're a musician or a painter, is that something where if someone says to ChatGPT, write me a song in the style of Bruce Springsteen, is this violating Bruce Springsteen's copyright or intellectual property rights in some way? And then this misinformation, deep fakes. We have to manage the potential for generative AI to create realistic but false information, deep fakes, and misinformation. Consent and privacy is another huge issue. Respecting privacy, obtaining consent, especially when personal data or likenesses is included in training models. And this is still very much not figured out how to do this, especially when you have just these companies who have developed these models, and these models were trained on a lot of things that were obtained just by scraping the web and saying, this is, it's on the web, it's public data, woohoo. But, it's a big issue. And we have to ensure that generative AI systems are transparent in their operations and in their decision-making processes. So whether this eventually leads to there needs to be open source data about what it was trained on, we don't know. We don't know yet. The impact on jobs and industries, especially in creative fields that are traditionally reliant on human skills, is another issue where we've got to figure that out. And this is a thing that I spend a lot of time thinking about as a writer and a teacher, is that I like to think that I couldn't be replaced, and I look for opportunities to confirm that belief by looking at subpar examples of things that ChatGPT generates and saying, oh, well, it can't do humor, it can't do sarcasm, and these are things that I'm really good at. And so therefore, and it doesn't understand what it is to be human. But these systems are getting better, faster, uh, all the time. And so it is something to be thinking about. I think, for example, that computer programming is moving from a field where programmers memorize how to do things with code, to where programmers are in charge of designing systems and then creating natural language and describing what the code should be to an AI model. And then the AI model worries about the actually writing code statements and functions and classes and things. And so that's, yeah. All right. We have to address the significant energy consumption and environmental footprint of training large-scale generative models. It takes a lot of energy to train a model. It also takes a lot of energy to run the systems that query a model. And so that's something that needs to be addressed. Safety, for people who are designing AI models, creating AI models, as well as for people using them, we need to define what misuse is. We certainly need to prevent things like AI being used for cyber attacks or for automated weaponry. And those are, a couple of the things where it has real potential for what we call dual use, where the model can be used to, write love poems. It can also be used to generate fake pictures of people in situations where they weren't, or where they never would be, and so and much worse. And so, we have to look at that. And so all of this is going to require development of effective governance frameworks and regulations to guide the ethical development and use of generative AI. And hopefully the result will be that we develop public trust, and the public can have faith that the people who are making these models and running these models and training these models are not evil. And so that is the goal, and that they're regulated by someone. They can't just do whatever they want. There are some limitations and challenges of generative AI. For example, generative AI models require large amounts of high quality and diverse data for effective training, and this can be a significant limitation. Training generative models demands a lot of computational resources, so that makes it very costly and energy intensive. This is kind of a pro and con at this point, because I can't just go and make a generative AI right now that is evil AI or something, because I don't have the processing power or uh, the massive training data, or the ability to gather massive training data. And so it's it's kind of a good thing that only a few organizations in the world really have the ability to make these now. But that's going to change. And, in 20 years, we'll say, I remember when it took, something on the level of Microsoft or Google to be able to make a training model, and now I can do it on my iPhone, so. Quality and realism. It's impressive. The output of generative AI still lacks the nuance and quality of human created content. And we need to learn to detect AI generated content and distinguish between human made and AI generated content, especially as AI generated content becomes much better over the next few years or decades or whatever. In this part, I'm going to talk about the intersection of strategic learning and development with the US AI Executive Order of October 30th. I'll explore how the executive order should shape your approach to AI, focusing on safety, ethics, and innovation. This order isn't just a policy document, it's a roadmap for maintaining the US's leadership in AI technology. It directly impacts how we approach learning and development in the AI sphere. So let's begin by understanding kind of the breadth and depth of this executive order. The October 30th AI Executive Order is a comprehensive national strategy. Its purpose is to enhance the development and use of AI in a manner that upholds American values, promotes economic growth, and protects national security. It covers a wide scope, emphasizing AI's safe, secure, and trustworthy development and use. The executive order revolves around three key objectives. First is advancing AI technology, and the US is investing heavily in cutting-edge AI research. This means our L&D strategies must also focus on the latest AI advancements and innovations. Second is ensuring AI safety and ethics. As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, the need for it to be trustworthy and safe is paramount. This has direct implications for how we train and educate our workforce. Third, the order promotes US leadership in AI, aiming to establish America as a hub of global AI innovation. And this involves not only technological advancement, but also in setting standards for AI's ethical use. As L&D professionals, your role in realizing these goals is crucial. You need to align L&D strategies with the rapid advancements in AI. This means staying abreast of the latest AI technologies and integrating them into your training programs. Furthermore, we have to focus on ethical AI training and awareness. It's essential that our workforce not only understands how to use AI, but also the ethical implementations and responsibilities that come with it. This approach supports a workforce transformation that's in line with the executive order's vision for AI. The executive order calls for significant investment in AI research and development. This translates to increased funding and resources dedicated to AI innovation to foster a climate where breakthroughs in AI are more likely. This investment also encourages collaborations between the private sector and academic institutions. For us in L&D, this means there's a growing need to upskill the entire workforce in AI-related fields. Training programs must evolve to include cutting-edge AI knowledge and skills. And a big part of this executive order talks about AI literacy. It's become a national priority. The executive order emphasizes the need for widespread AI education and skills development. This is crucial in creating a tech-savvy workforce that can thrive in an increasingly AI-driven world. And so in response, L&D initiatives need to be tailored for AI competencies. This involves not only technical skills, but also an understanding of how AI impacts various aspects of business and society. We have to prepare our workforce for the challenges and opportunities that AI presents. Very much encourages responsible AI use, and so it's our responsibility to align with these standards. We need to ensure our employees are equipped to make decisions that reflect our commitment to ethical AI practices and align with national and international standards. There's the new European law that is moving its way through the process, which looks like it's going to be the new sort of latest standard and the setting sort of the boundaries and the rules that the rest of the world is going to be copying, but it's largely in line with what is expressed in this order as well. And so the AI era brings new challenges in terms of consumer data and privacy. The executive order underscores the importance of educating our workforce on AI's impact in these areas. It's essential that employees understand how to handle consumer data responsibly and are aware of the relevant regulations and compliance requirements. Your L&D programs must align with privacy and consumer protection laws naturally, and this involves training employees not just in compliance, but in understanding the broader implications of AI on consumer rights and privacy. It focuses on supporting American workers, particularly in the context of AI-induced job transformations. So this calls for reskilling and upskilling initiatives to prepare our workforce for an AI-centric economy. So our role is to focus on these transformations, ensuring that your workforce is not left behind as the technological landscape evolves. Again, we need to equip employees with the skills and knowledge to thrive in an economy where AI plays a central role, which is where we're headed. So continuing your commitment to continuous learning in AI is more important than ever. You have to stay ahead of AI innovation and ethics and ensure that the workforce is prepared for the challenges and the opportunities ahead. And as we shape this AI-informed workforce for tomorrow, our strategies and programs must reflect the objectives and the spirit of current policy, U.S. AI executive order. And by doing so, we not only comply with national guidelines, but also lead the way in ethical, innovative AI use in the corporate world. And so here I've created a demo of another chat bot that I'm calling L&D Manager. And L&D Manager here is trained on this US executive order. It also knows a lot about learning and development in the setting of large organizations. So I want to show you this one. Again, this was created using the Chat GPT. And for this one, I said it's an expert L&D manager focusing on strategic AI use in corporate training, is versed in the US AI executive order. And I uploaded the text of the executive order to this and then gave some instructions saying you are an experienced learning and development manager for a Fortune 100 company specializing in AI. Your expertise now includes detailed knowledge of the US AI executive order on the safe, secure, and trustworthy development and use of artificial intelligence. And provided some sort of starter questions here that people might want to ask this L&D manager. For example, can you explain the US AI executive order? And then thinks for a moment, and it actually will look through the executive order. And after a moment here, okay, so it's gone through and parsed the executive order there, and now comes up with this summary of the document here. Purpose emphasizes the importance of responsible AI and outlines a policy to govern AI development and use. It says that AI must be safe and secure, requiring evaluations, policies, and mechanisms to understand and mitigate risk, promoting responsible innovation, competition, and collaboration. And the federal government aims to support programs that enhance AI skills and attract a global AI talent. Supporting American workers, advancing equity and civil rights, consumer protection, privacy and civil liberties, government's use of AI. This manages risk from the US government's use of AI, and then the global leadership component here as well. And so overall, this executive order demonstrates a comprehensive approach to regulating and harnessing the power of AI, balancing innovation and public welfare. And so this, I've actually read the entire text of the AI executive order. I think it was like 70 pages. So I read that, and this is actually a pretty good summary. There's a lot more detail in the actual thing, but asking my L&D manager here is this worked pretty good in this case. I would recommend that if you're going to be making any decisions based on this AI executive order, that you also read the entire text, because AI models are prone to hallucinating, to making things up based on their instructions to be a little creative with responses. But for getting a baseline amount of information here, it actually was referencing what it found and patterns it detected inside of the actual text, and spit out something pretty correct here. But this model can also say what are the trends in AI and machine learning for L&D, and it'll come back with things like personalized content. There's the first one. How about that? Predictive analytics, automated content creation, which I haven't even talked about, but that's an interesting subject. Virtual reality, chat bots and virtual assistants, learning analytics, ethical AI and bias mitigation, skills gap analysis, AI in assessment and feedback, collaboration, and social learning. So, whew, that's good. All right. So I'm going to paste this one into the chat here in two. Yes, Richard, great question. This example, AI returns the cliff notes, high level overview, but lacks details or specific examples. That is absolutely true. I think, what I found in content creation scenarios using ChatGPT and these other tools is it's good for outlining, but I would never rely on it to give me an entire uh, article or paper or book or anything. But if I'm just coming in here and saying what are some of the topics that I should look into further, it's great at that. If you ask specific questions, however, and said, I've enabled web browsing here. So if I said, this is a lot less reliable, but if I said, um, what are some specific tools that are available um, for integrating AI into L and D research on the web, something like that. Um, Perhaps let's see what it does. It's doing research with Bing. And so again, here it is fine tuning itself based on queries that it's doing on through the Bing search engine. And this generally, what I've found can give you a high level overview of something. Like I've searched for what are some tools for writing documentation for software that use AI. And so here, and it gives back just, way worse results than if I used a search engine. So here it says, okay, again, it's just giving me categories, like you were saying. Uh, and then, yeah, Gretchen's question. In this example, who owns generated content? So by the terms of use for ChatGPT and these other generative AI systems, you own the rights to anything that is generated by it in response to your prompts. But this is one of those sticky issues where uh, it hasn't been defined in law, and there are court cases on this. Someone sued Microsoft for the Copilot code generation tool, saying that there is other companies' intellectual properties was used to train this model. And there's potential for that training data to show up in responses. And so it's an unsettled issue right now. There are some AI systems, especially ones being used for generating code, that are only trained on publicly available code with permissive licenses, so open source software that specifically says anyone can use this software for any purpose. But when Copilot was trained, it was trained on just the contents of GitHub. And so it may contain in there or trained on something where it didn't have a license to actually reuse this code. So there is it's still very much an open question. Sure. Were there any other questions that I haven't answered yet? No.
I
Cool.
didn't see any comment besides
Excellent.
that.
Okay, so how do we align AI and ML with organizational goals? So incorporating AI and machine learning in alignment with organizational goals is not just about leveraging technology, but also about strategically enhancing your business performance. AI should be seen as a tool to achieve broader business strategies, whether it's improving employee engagement, enhancing skill development, or increasing operational efficiency. For instance, an AI-driven learning platform can align employee development with emerging industry trends, ensuring your workforce remains competitive. You want to set smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals for AI and machine learning initiatives to ensure that they're focused and aligned with the broader business objectives. When setting goals in learning and development, it's vital to establish clear, specific objectives. What do we want to achieve with AI integration? This might include enhancing personalized learning experiences, streamlining administrative tasks, or providing predictive analysis for skills development. It's essential to align these goals, again, with overall learning and development objectives, and balancing ambition with feasibility is key. So it's great to aim high, but we need to ensure that our goals are realistic, considering current capabilities, resources, and the learning curve that's associated with these new technologies. So before you can integrate AI, it's crucial to evaluate your existing learning and development infrastructure. What tools and programs are you currently using? What are the gaps that AI and machine learning can fill? And this step involves a thorough assessment of your current resources, methodologies, and technologies. This helps in identifying opportunities where AI can bring significant improvement, such as automating routine tasks or providing advanced analytics for better decision making. A thorough infrastructure assessment lays the foundation upon which AI tools can be integrated. And so then as you integrate in AI into learning and development, it's essential to focus on building the right skills and knowledge within your team. L&D professionals need to be equipped not just with an understanding of AI technologies, but also with the skills to use and apply these tools effectively. So this involves understanding data analytics, having a grasp of how AI algorithms work, and being aware of the ethical implications of AI. It's about building an AI competent team that can not only operate these tools, but also leverage them to create impactful learning experiences. This skills development is an ongoing process, and the AI technologies are constantly evolving. And so we all need to stay up to date on what's happening and how things are changing and what the newest technologies are. 1 second here. So how do we select the right tools? Selecting the right tools for your L&D initiatives is critical. The criteria for selection should include the tool's relevance to your specific objectives, naturally, its ease of use, integration capabilities with your existing systems, and scalability to meet future needs. You should also consider support and training provided by the tool vendor. Examples of popular AI tools in L&D include adaptive learning platforms, AI-driven content curation tools, and analytic tools for measuring learning effectiveness. Customization and scalability are important considerations, ensuring the tools not only meet your current needs, but are adaptable for your future requirements. And create a realistic timeline. This is really important for a smooth transition. The timeline should include key milestones and checkpoints to monitor progress and make necessary adjustments. It's important to set a pace that allows for adequate training and adaptation by your team. So a flexible plan is key. It allows for adjustments in response to challenges or changes in organizational priorities. And this approach that ensures that integration process is manageable and aligned with the overall strategic objectives of the organization. Key milestones help in tracking progress and ensuring that the implementation stays on track. Aligning these milestones with organizational calendars, such as syncing with business cycles or training schedules, can enhance their effectiveness. And regular tracking and flexibility to adjust these milestones based on progress and feedback are essential. We'll need to anticipate challenges. It allows us to be proactive in addressing them. Common challenges include resistance to change, data privacy concerns, and ensuring the quality and relevance of AI-driven content. Developing proactive strategies such as stakeholder engagement, rigorous testing of AI tools, and establishing clear data governance policies are vital. Also, contingency planning is important, ensuring you have plans in place to address unforeseen issues that may arise during the integration process. And developing effective solutions for these challenges in AI integration requires a combination of strategic planning, team collaboration, and creative problem solving. You can learn from case studies of successful AI implementations and understand how other organizations have overcome similar challenges. And a key aspect is leveraging the strengths of your team and encouraging a collaborative approach to problem solving where diverse ideas and experiences contribute to innovative solutions. This collaborative approach not only helps in resolving challenges, but also fosters the culture of continuous learning and adaptation, which is absolutely essential in AI and machine learning. Any questions about anything at all? We are using for this. Yes, I'm using over here. This is ChatGPT Plus, the $20 a month. And these responses were generated using GPT-4, which is what you need in order to be able to do these custom GPTs. Yes. You bet. Any other questions? All right, cool. We're going to do a little hands-on exercise here. And for this exercise, we're going to be breaking you into groups. And let me tell you about what the exercise is. So I'm hoping that a good number of you have access to some sort of tool. And the tool for tracks on the soft people skills. Yeah, definitely. Let's do that right now. Do you have a suggestion for people skill? Let me just clear this out. So like something like learning to effectively onboard new employees? Would that be? Okay. I want to learn about how to, um, or just say manage new hires. All right. So to start, can you tell me about your existing skills and experience related to managing people or human resources? I'll just wait for an answer in the chat and then I'll paste that in. Got it. As you're new to management, we'll start from the basics and build up your skills progressively. Next, I'd like to know about your preferred learning style. Do you learn best through reading articles and books, watching videos, engaging in interactive courses or workshops, or perhaps a mix of these? Great. A mix of learning methods can provide a well-rounded understanding. Now, could you let me know how much time you can dedicate to learning about managing new hires each week? Perfect. Dedicating 3 hours per week is a good amount to make steady progress. Lastly, I'd like to understand your motivation behind learning how to manage new hires. Is this for professional development, a specific project or role, or another reason? Ah, cool. There we go. Congratulations on your promotion. Okay, so it suggested reading the first 90 days. I don't know that book, but presumably that's a real book. Watch TED Talks on leadership and management. Enroll in an online course about onboarding and managing new employees. LinkedIn Learning and Coursera offer relevant courses. Read articles about challenges faced by new hires. Attend a local online workshop on communication skills. Yeah, cool. Do you want a copy of this? And paste it into the chat. Maybe I can paste it into the chat. No, it's probably too long. But yeah, try it out. You can, if you have GPT-4, you can try this. I think it'll bill you, not me, is what I'm hoping. But I'm pretty sure. So, uh, and yeah, cool. Thanks for asking about that.
It looks like everyone just answered that poll. So a big thank you to Chris. I just want to say thank you for presenting today. For those that still might be on the call, if you joined late, this is going to be sent out. The recording of this session is going to be sent out in an email. And thank you again for everyone for joining today and have a great day.